Okay. Welcome here, everybody, and I'm glad to host here Don. And please, Don, give us a training how to do MLM in today's words, how to boost it, and how to do it as in the way of Own Your Life approach.
Okay. Before I get started, I'd like to just let you know that I think I'm talking to people that want to make a lot of money, not just a little bit of money, okay? Because if you just want to make a little bit of money, you know, you can go and start selling your products and you can make a few $100s, you know, a month. But if you want to make a lot of money, you're going to see exactly how to do that. I started, now I'm going to be neutral. I don't mention the name of any company or product during the presentation, but I will tell you this, that I started with the same company. I've been with them now for 25 years. I started by sponsoring 4 distributors. Those 4 distributors grew to 1,400,000. 95% of all those distributors came from the original 4. So that's got to tell you something. We don't go out, note the word, recruit a lot of people to build a large organization. We sponsor and teach people to duplicate. Now, the most important word in network marketing is understand, because 100% of the people in the world not in it, they do not understand it. 80 to 90% of the people who are in it don't understand it. And you'd be amazed how many company owners don't understand it. Well, when people read my book, they understand it, and that's why it's sold like over 11 million copies. It's in all the major languages. Now, the next most important word is duplicate. You're going to hear that mentioned many times during my presentation because it is really the important thing. You cannot build a large organization if you don't duplicate. Now, for those people who are new and don't know what that means, duplication is when you sponsor someone, that person is at least 3 levels deep. If you don't get the person 3 levels deep, you're not duplicated. So when you get started, the idea is you don't go out and recruit a bunch of people when you're getting started. People don't know what they're talking about, tell you to make a list of 100 names. You don't need a list of 100 names, okay? Starts with 1. And it's more important than when you sponsor your first person that you help them sponsor someone and start teaching them to do the same, and you start to duplicate. It's more important for you to help them sponsor someone than you to sponsor someone else yourself, okay? Now, the reason why you cannot make it big in network marketing doing sales, you're going to understand that in just a minute. I think most of you have already read my book. If you haven't, napkin presentation number 4 teaches you that your business should look like the biggest building you've ever seen in your life. And that represents huge income. But you cannot see the building and you cannot see the income until you do the foundation. And to put up a big building, the foundation has to be deep. Now, I'll give you an example of what's happening out there. A non-sales type recruits a salesperson thinking they're going to get rich because they can bring in a lot of people, which they can do. In 6 months to a year, they can literally, note the word, recruit 50 to 100 people. But you look at their genealogy after, 1 year, and they haven't duplicated themselves in one place, okay? They might be 1 level deep in a few places, 0 duplication. So what happens when people are not duplicating, they will get to the point where people now are dropping off faster than they can add them. So now they think there's something wrong with the company, the product, the marketing plan, their sponsor, whatever. But someone shows them another hot deal, okay? Now they're off to the races on the next hot program. Well, guess what happens? The person that recruited that one, they're thinking, wow, they brought in all those people. They can't make it. How am I going to make it? Then they end up quitting. So that person goes out with this new program. And guess what happens in a year? The same thing. They haven't learned to duplicate. So now they're ready for another program and then another program. You've heard the definition of insanity, doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. So that's what's happening out there. And when you run into people, that have been in 2, 3, 4, 5 different programs, just let them know that they didn't fail in network marketing. They never did network marketing. They got in network marketing, but they did sales, and sales does not work. I'm going to tell you a true story. A guy by the name of Jimmy the Butcher Smith. He was a butcher for over 40 years, had to retire from a back injury. He got into network marketing, but he didn't do network marketing. For 10 years, every year he was in another program. He said he loved network marketing, but he never did it. He came across my training material and he learned that we do not recruit people to sell. We sponsor and teach people to duplicate and build what we call a family of consumers. Okay, he was 52 when he came across my material. When he was 70, he was already worth 35 million. And when he was 92, he was worth 90 million, okay? We have the recording of an interview he did with Eric Worre, where 2 times in the interview, he gives me 100% credit for his success. Another quick testimony, a guy named Jordan Adler, for 11 years, he couldn't sponsor anybody because he was trying to recruit people to sell. And people don't, you're going to learn this in a little bit, but the people don't want to sell. So he couldn't get anybody to sign up. He actually found my book in a garage sale. He bought it for 25 cents. He's now a multimillionaire. Okay, every time he does a meeting, he holds up the book and says, people, you got to read this book, because when people read it, they understand network marketing. Give you a quick testimony, a personal testimony. For the people that came on a few minutes late, I started off by letting you know that I started by sponsoring 4 distributors, and that grew to 1.4 million, okay? And 95% of them came from the original 4. What I didn't tell you is that the company I'm with, we have a lot of, great health products, like most of you have companies that have the same, but in 25 years, by accident, I actually sold 1 product. Some people were in my house, they saw it on the counter in the kitchen, they asked what it was, and I told them, and they wanted to buy it. Only thing I sold in 25 years, but my volume last month was over $13 million with my organization. This year we'll do over $150 million, which is more than 90% of the 20,000 multi-level marketing companies out there. And I didn't do it by ever recruiting anybody to sell. All I did was teach people how to duplicate. So anyway, what I want to do is talk about now your market. If you are recruiting people to sell, okay, you've got a very small market. Now you need to understand that only 15% of the people in the world at any given point in time are either sick, hurt, or into health. Okay, that breaks down to 8% that are really into health. So now you've got a very, very small market if you think you're selling your health products, but then you have a lot of competition because, see, you'd be amazed how many owners of network marketing companies don't understand network marketing. They spend millions of dollars getting ready to launch a new health product or, whatever. And they get ready to go to market. They all make the same mistake. They recruit a sales manager. Now, the sales manager they recruit never sponsor a person a day in their life and never built a business in network marketing. So why did they recruit a sales manager? Yeah, first of all, we're not in sales, we're in network marketing. Well, there's 2 reasons why they do. One, because they don't understand network marketing. And the second one, they're recruiting that person to sell their products. That is they're destined for their failure. It does not work. Okay, so now you got a small market, you've got a lot of competition. Okay, now here's the worst problem. 95% of the people want nothing to do with selling. In America, a few months ago, it was on our news, they said that only 4.7% of the people in America want anything to do with selling. Okay, round that off to 5%. I want to tell you something to think about. This is amazing. That 90% of the people in our business are looking for the 5% of the people who can't make it. Now, when I say they can't make it, a salesperson can make it, and they can make it huge under two conditions, okay? They got to give up sales, period. And they've got to learn network marketing because it's not the same. Okay, so anyway, what you're going to learn today, you're going to have a market of 100%. You know, because 95% of the people, you know, already want something they don't already have. The 5% of the people on the top, they already have everything, and they'd like to live forever. So we say they can make great customers. So huge difference on the market. Now, I'm going to give you a simple, little analogy here that makes it easy to understand what's going on. You have a hot vehicle, okay? A Lamborghini and a Ferrari are hot vehicles, okay? If you own one, would you let your best friend go for a drive around the block in your brand new Lamborghini if they did not know how to drive, okay? Well, my wife and I, we did training seminars in over 35 different countries. I've asked hundreds of thousands of people that question. 100% say, no way would I let someone drive my hot Lamborghini if they don't know how to drive. Now, catch what people are doing in our industry. They recruit someone to sell their products, okay? And they spend days, weeks, and months trying to teach them how to sell their products or doing home presentations. They don't spend 1 minute teaching them how to drive the vehicle. See, you only have two elements to build a large business. You have your vehicle, which is your company, product, and marketing plan. You can have the hottest vehicle on the planet, but if you don't know how to drive it, you're not going to go anywhere, okay? And that's what I'm going to teach you to do is how to drive it. In fact, when I teach you what I'm going to, well, let me back up. In these 35 countries where we did training, okay, I always started by asking the people, when you sponsor a new person, how much teaching and training time does it take you before your new person can sponsor someone? Can you do it in 1 or 2 hours? No. How about 2 or 3 days? And I say, how many of you have people been with you 2, 3, and 4 months and they still have not sponsored anybody? You realize over half the people in the room would raise their hand. And I'd say, well, you want to know why they haven't sponsored anybody? Answer's simple. Nobody taught them something that they can do. See, it's one thing if you can do something, but if you don't have something so simple that anybody can do, it's not going to go anywhere. So I'm going to teach you something that they can do. Now, with our system, app, and technology, you're going to learn how to do in 3 to 5 years what took me 25 years. And let me give you the secret to the system. We teach people not to talk. The more you talk, the more people think they don't have time to do it, and the more they think they can't do what you're doing. So we teach them not to talk. Now, one more quick analogy, and I'll get into the system and how this works. When you are talking to people, you talk to someone, excuse me, I got to back up here a second. People, you know, think it's sales. So bottom line, when people think it's selling, you know, it's like they have to lift the hood up on the vehicle, take the whole engine apart before they can put it back together again, before they can talk to anybody. So what I'm going to teach you, it's like you can hand the key to the vehicle. They get in it today, and they can start actually sponsoring and building their business today. And while they're going down the freeway, sponsoring, teaching, and building their business. Now, note this, they can learn all about it, okay? And one more thing, too, and I'll get into teaching the system, is activity. How many people do you have in your downline who are actively building a business? I did a Zoom training a couple months ago, and this gal, after the training, I said, how many people do you have in your downline? She said 500. I said, well, that's great. How many of them are actively build a business? And she said 10. You know, that is typical in the industry right now. In fact, the whole industry is going down. People with large organizations are all going down because they're not duplicating. They all get to the point where they have, you know, people are leaving faster than the people are coming in. And then they think there's something wrong with the company and they're jumping from one company to the next and the next. And that's what's going to happen. So let me show you exactly how we do this. It is absolutely amazing because anybody can do it. We have a hat that says own your life. We have a pin that says own your life. So let's say that you don't have a hat and you don't have a pin and you're talking to a friend or someone you meet. Now, with the person you meet, do not start the process until you make a connection with them, okay? Ask them some questions, find out what they want, let them get to know you, make a connection, but don't start it until, you know, you've made that connection. Now, that's about all I'm going to say about talking to strangers, because once you understand what we're doing, you don't need to talk to strangers because everybody you know is going to want to do this if they want to own their life. You're going to understand that in just a minute. Okay, so you're talking to a friend. During the course of the conversation, simply say to them, have you ever thought about what it would be like if you could own your life? Okay, that's mean having time, money, and health. And did you realize that most people don't even know one person that has all three? Okay. Young people, millennials, if they're making $60,000 to $100,000 a year, they have a little money, but they don't have any time because their commute, their job, things they have to do, their health's okay. Older people have a lot of time, but they're running out of money and their health's going bad. It's a simple question. How would you like to be able to own your life at a time in your life when you can enjoy it with your friends and your family? Now, what could they possibly say? Basically, they have two choices. And they could say, well, Don, you know, I just soon spend the rest of my life working my dead-end boring job and end up broke. Or most people say, gee, that sounds interesting. Can you tell me more? Okay, so now that was the first step of a 3-step system. And guess what? That took 1 minute. Anybody can learn a 1-minute presentation. If you can't learn it, write it down on a card and read it, okay? Because if you can learn that presentation, you can build a business, okay? Because anybody can ask a friend that question, and if they want more information, then we go to step 2. And the step 2, they need to understand network marketing if they're going to build a large business. And of course, when they understand it, they're going to know how to drive, okay? So anybody can do that. And what we're going to do is you're going to ask them, I'm going to send you the first 5 chapters of the best-selling book in the world. So when you read it, you're going to start understanding network marketing and you're going to know how to drive. Do you want me to send it to you by print or audio or both? Okay. Now, why is audio important? Well, we're getting to the point where people say they don't have time to read. Well, we solved that problem because, see, with your mobile device, you can take this in the vehicle with you. In fact, if you go to any town in the world and look at the commuter traffic, 90% of the vehicles have one person in them that hate their commute. You know, they probably hate their job. They're going to be there stuck for 35, 40 years and end up broke anyway. Okay. They can change their life by listening to the first 5 chapters of the book on their commute, while you're fixing dinner, while you're jogging, while you're walking your dog, while you're exercising, all kinds of ways you can change your life by listening to it while you're doing something else. Okay, now, before we had technology in the system and the app and so forth, people would buy my book and then they would mail it off to someone. Now, consider the cost of this. You buy the book, but then I don't know what the cost of gas is getting to in your country, but yesterday oil hit $115 a barrel, going to 150. So figure that the cost of your fuel to get to the post office is part of the cost of doing this and the time it takes you to do it. So you stand in line at the post office, you mail them the book, and you wait 5 days for them to get it. Okay, so now what happens is that in 5 days, you call them and say, hey, have you received the book yet? They say they did. Have you read it? They say they did. You'd be amazed how many people lie to you. It's called cooling off. They didn't read it. From the time you talked to them till the time they got it was 5 days. They've already lost interest. They cannot do it now with the app because, see, you can send them the 5 chapters right while you're talking to them, okay? So when you hang up the phone, they already have the 5 chapters. Now you're gonna like this. Then when you call them, you don't have to ask them if they read it because, see, when they start to read it, you're gonna get a ping on your mobile device letting you know they started to read it. And if they hang up before they finish the 5 chapters, you get another ping saying they partially read it. And when they get finished reading it, you get another ping saying they finished reading it. Okay. So how cool is it to be able to call that person like 20 minutes after they finish reading it, and you don't have to ask them if they read it. You already know they did. Okay. Now, the best part of all this is the cost. Because, see, what it would cost you to send one book, pay for fuel, pay for the postage, and all that extra stuff I already talked about, you can send out unlimited, meaning 50, 100, as many as you want every month. And the cost of getting it to them is all included right in the app. So for less than what one book costs, you can send out unlimited. So we're excited about this. Now, once the person has read the book, and note that the time is their time to read the book, not your time. It only took you a few minutes to introduce the idea that if they want to own their life, they have to understand network marketing, okay? So once they've read the book, now you're ready for the third step, which is the app. Okay, now my partner, Jeff Rimaldi, will link his phone to the computer, share the screen, and show you exactly how you can send the book out. And it's a learning curve. Once you've done it 2 or 3 times, you can do it in about 20 seconds. Okay, that's it. So your total talking time now, from this time you ask them about owning their life, 1 minute, understanding network marketing, sending them to the app, and they need to go over everything on the app. Now they're ready to go to the company. Your total talking time is 10 minutes, and they can start building their business. Compare that to the days, weeks, and months you've been taking trying to teach someone who doesn't want to sell how to sell, okay? It's absolutely incredible. Now, when you get the app, there's some other things you get with the app besides being able to send out the book. You're going to get the entire book in print and audio. Now, the app is being updated. Okay, my book hasn't been updated in 36 years. We didn't have technology back when the book was written. So that's being totally updated. The updated book is going to be on the app. We have a section called questions and answers. Okay, right now there's 25. We're going to add, in fact, if you have a question that's not on the app, just submit it to us, and periodically we'll be adding more questions and answers. And eventually anything you could ever think of is on the app. So picture that you've sponsored someone and they've sponsored someone who asked your new person a question and they don't have the answer. How long does it take them to track you down to get the answer to the question? See, now all they have to do is go in and look at the app and find the question and answer, and you can send that to them just like you can send the book, okay? Another thing on the app is a Dr. Steve Heinz. He's been participating in training calls with Zoom with us. He's a retired eye surgeon, sold his practice, multimillionaire, got into network marketing, been in it for 30 years. He's got the fastest growing organization in his company using our material. And if you have a doctor, dentist, lawyer, professional person, listen to this guy talk for 3 to 4 minutes. I mean, they're going to want to join your business. So he's going to be on the upgraded app also. We have a section called Nancy's Wisdom. About 6 months before she passed away, she did a training session on Zoom, which the women absolutely love. It's good for the men too. And if you don't know it, 70% of the people in the world now in network marketing are women. And there's some interviews that she has done. And we have more content that'll be going on the new updated app. We also have a section there with interviews, Tom Chenault, Peter Mingles, Simon Chen. In fact, when we did the interview with Tom Chenault, that went out to 500 radio stations, and we have some more podcasters that want to do interviews with us. That's going to be on the app. So when you go through everything on there, you're going to really know and understand network marketing. So anyway, what I'd like to do now is just, I mentioned that when you understand what I'm teaching you here, you're going to be able to do in 3 to 5 years what took me 25. It all has to do with the word time, okay? See, before we had the app, the system, and technology, you would have a sizzle session, okay? That normally in a restaurant. Now, that was kind of complicated here in California because for over a year, all the restaurants were closed. But you have a sizzle session. Normally it was in a restaurant, and people would come from 12 different directions, and they drive 15 minutes to an hour to get there, and spend an hour and a half at the sizzle session. Some people wouldn't get home till 10, 11 o'clock at night. Now, back in those days, the spouse was home taking care of the children. So if you did that more than once a week, you were in trouble with your spouse, okay? Now, picture today with Zoom, you can do, like, can you imagine if everybody in your downline only did one sizzle session a week, how much faster you would grow compared to, what we're doing now? Instead of one a week, you can do, I do anywhere from 1 to 4 or 5 sizzle sessions a day. I know Jeff from Aldi, my partner, who does the demonstration on the app, he does more than that. So you can imagine how much faster you're going to grow. Now, the book was written over 36 years ago, and I stopped it once you had 5 legs, 5 people you personally sponsored. You better not sponsor anymore because you don't have time. If you're duplicating, you need to help the people you've got go 3 levels deep, help their people, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And basically, if you want to write these numbers down, you'd help them sponsor 5 people. And after 5, you help those people, it gets to 25. And then 125, 625, 3,000, 125, 15,000, 625, 78,000, 125. Okay, now next to that, with room to write in between, put the 10 next to the 5, because see, now because of the time, you've got more time. So you can expand that base from 5, add 1 more. Start getting them duplicated. In the process of doing that, you add 1 more until you get 10. So now put 10 next to 5, you see the difference is 5. 10 times 10 is 100 next to 25. The difference, you see the difference there is 75. Then 125 next to 625, it's 875. And I'm going to let you complete this out to about 5 levels, okay? So just go 10, 100, 1,000, 10,000, 100,000, a million. Put that next to the 525, 125. When you do it yourself, you're going to suddenly really realize that this is fantastic, okay? You do that, and in 3 to 5 years, you will be able to do what took me 25 years to do. In fact, the thing that I'm kind of excited about this idea, once you really understand it, you realize that once you sponsor 10 people who are active, you can go the rest of your life, never sponsor another person. Help your people with their people, with their people, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, working down level. Never have to sponsor another person. Now think about these poor salespeople out there who don't have a clue what they're doing, trying to recruit people to sell their whole life. They can never give up because there's no duplication, none at all. People are dropping off. They got to keep looking for new people all the time. Okay, now that's the reasons why you can do in 3 to 5 years. Now, I want to give you some other thoughts about duplication, which most people don't think about, okay? See, my organization, I have hundreds of thousands of people, like most of my people are in Europe, okay? And people say, well, Don, how did you motivate these people? Okay, I live in San Diego, 7,000 miles away. And I say, I didn't. I taught them how to motivate themselves, okay? Simple concept. I'll give you an example. The publisher I have in Australia told me one time that he read my book 10 times. Every time he read it, he learned something new because you're kind of doing it at a different level. Same thing with these Zoom calls. I'm doing them 3 times a week on Wednesday and Friday. We do exactly what I'm doing here today, only you'll see Adriana up there with her hat. She's our Polish translator, and it's translated into Polish. Well, I'm telling people, if you don't want to have to wait till Thursday to catch it in English, go ahead and listen to when I do it with Adriana. I'm speaking English, and while she's translating to Polish, you can take notes, whatever. But you listen to this thing several times, and you've really got it. So bottom line, back to the motivation idea, you're duplicating and you're 3, 4, 5 levels deep. You wake up in the morning and you look at your computer and you see that somebody in the downline signed somebody up while you were sleeping, okay? Let me tell you, you can spend, I'm not gonna mention any names, thousands of dollars listening to these motivational speakers speak for 2, 3 days and so forth. They don't teach you anything how to build a business. They just motivate you, which is a hot bath. It's all gone in a week anyway. But whatever you cost to spend there, you don't have to spend that money anymore. Start duplicating, because when that person signs someone up in your downline, that'll motivate you more than anything. Now, like when I wake up and look at the computer, not counting weekends, I have over 600 people a day coming into my business. Didn't start off with 600 a day. It started off with 1. Okay, then all of a sudden, a couple of weeks go by, and then all of a sudden you're getting 2 a week, and then 3. That's what happens when you duplicate. See, the people who are recruiting people to sell, they never get that kind of motivation because they never have anybody doing anything. Huge, huge difference. So anyway, what I'm going to do now is, let's see, how are we doing on time? I think what we'll do is stop the recording, and we can take a picture, and then I'll do questions and answers.